The Dash by Linda Ellis. I read of a man who stood to speak at a funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on her tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came her date of her birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that she spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved her know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we lived and loved, and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remember that this dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash?
Thank you, Liz. I now want to invite Beth Bullock, Pat's daughter, who wants to say a few words.
Lady glasses on. I'd like to share with you quotes from my mom that I like to refer to as momisms. Think before you speak. Home again, flippity flop. Home again, jiggity jog. Sticks and stones will break your bones, but words can never hurt you. She'd always sign the card, love, the mom. Don't make me get out that wooden spoon. Hey kids, where's all my wooden spoons? Everything happens for a reason. I agree with that last quote, truly, and that nothing happens for as happenstance. Yesterday I was at Joann Fabrics to get some ribbon for bows, and I knew exactly where the ribbon was, straight back to the left. But for some reason, I detoured and went through all the Valentine stuff, and ended up in an aisle with all these wooden plaques with different sayings on them. Some of them said, live, love, laugh. One said, your husband called, you can buy anything in the store. I'm bossy, and I just have better ideas. That one's actually in my office. But I was drawn to one particular plaque that said, life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It is about learning to dance in the rain. This reflected my mother perfectly. My mother was all about creating memories. Some were great, some not so much. Like making hamburger helper, and instead of using ground beef, she replaced it with ground liver. Smelled horrible. My brother's birthday at Tyler Park. I was allowed to bring one friend, my friend Mary Pat Zofia. Everyone was piling into the Volkswagen bus, Mike referred to as the magic bus. Had to run back in the house to get something. I came out, bus was gone. Even my friend Mary Pat Zofia. Don't worry, Mom came back for me about 5 minutes later in a complete panic. Going to Michael Wallach's wedding in Chicago. We got tickets from a good friend of mine who was a flight attendant for TWA. These tickets were called E-tickets, which meant he flew standby, which was fine. But the problem was we didn't realize it was the Sunday before Thanksgiving.
Needless to say, we got bumped after flight, after flight, after flight. We ended up buying tickets on another airline so we could get our connecting flight in St. Louis, because that flight was wide open to Philadelphia. Some of the good memories, which were many, birthdays, surprising us with a trip in the morning before school to 7-Eleven to get penny candy for our lunches. Instead of an Easy Bake Oven for my Christmas wish, I got the small of 2 real wall ovens, still with the Easy Bake pans and mixes. Then there were birthdays. Christmas morning, waiting at the top of the steps. Mom and Dad, we'd have to wait till they call us down. Well, they call us down, we ran in so fast that Mom missed the picture. So she made us stop, turn around, and do it again. Well, this was the time of the $6 Million Man, so Mike and I decided we'll show her. We went in slow motion. Gentlemen, we can rebuild them. We have the technology. Planning vacations at Mystic Seaport, Niagara Falls, Monticello in Virginia with the pennies that she saved from tutoring. Oh, and did I mention birthdays? Those of you who know me, I am all about my birthday. You can blame her for that. Then there was after I got engaged, one bridal show after another, after another, after another. She never complained. Lehigh Hospital, her sister, my Aunt Betty, my godmother, was in the hospital, and we decided that we'd surprise her with a picnic on her bed with hoagies and lots of laughs. Telling Mom that she was going to be a Grammy. She would have been on the 6 o'clock news to tell the whole world because she was so excited. While I was in labor, Mom was right there breathing with me. Got wheeled and delivered, and the cheerleader emerged. Push it out, push it out, push it way out. The doctor was so impressed, he said, "Can you hang out? Because I got 4 more babies to deliver." Vacations in Stephentown with the powerful P's, the Pollocks, the Prescotts, and the Perlmans. Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas mornings, always opening presents with Mom and Bart. Lastly, her infectious smile. Life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Mom is in heaven with her sister, Betty, probably doing jitterbug or teaching her how to line dance. She's talking to Pop-Up about stamps and baseball cards. She's singing with Grandma. Of course, Grandma with the high voice, slightly out of tune, but at the top of her voice. The last quote I want to share with you. Hard to get through. All the moms in the whole world lined up in one long line. Thank you every time, Mom. You created a wonderful life. You touched many people. And I want to continue to do that. Thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you, Beth, very much. I now want to invite Mike, who is Pat's son.
I'm going to talk about all my memories, but I grew up with Beth, so we kind of shared the same. Wow, a lot of people here. My mom was a teacher right until the end, and even in her death, she taught me 2, 3 really wonderful things. I found out Friday before a 3-day huge shoot that I really can't tell you about because confidentiality of the company. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace a letter and then give you the name of the people that are involved. So involved the Huppets and Kermit and Hiss Higgy and Hazy Hare were there. And we prepped for this shoot for weeks, and it was a really big deal. And of course, the Friday before, I got a terrible call from Bart saying that your mom passed away. So that whole day I had to work because we got to work, you know. And I didn't want to tell anybody because I didn't want to be a distraction, you know, so a buddy of mine found out, texted me, said, don't be afraid to let people in. People love you, and they're there to support you. And I'm like, you don't get it, man. You know, this is a big deal. Gotta get through this. If I can get through this 2 days, I'll be fine, and I'll let people know. So I said something to my wife about what was said, and she's like, he's absolutely right. You gotta tell everybody. So I texted my crew, and everybody just surrounded themselves around me. It supported me. So that was life lesson one, was I gotta let people in and know people love you. So the second one is, if you have something terrible happen in your life, the best thing to do is work with the Huppets, because that's pretty amazing. The last one is kind of for my kids, but it had a lot to do with my mom, and I really love music, so this is a Tegan and Sarah song, and I've been hearing it over and over again in my family, my kids singing it. And everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of the team. Everything is awesome when you're living out the dreams. Everything is better when you stick together, side by side. Side by side, you and I will win forever. That's, of course, from the Lego movie, but it's true. You know, everything is awesome. Together we can get through everything. And my mom was a great teacher. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. One of Pat's grandsons is Daniel Pollock, who we call Danny, but he's getting almost too old to be called Danny anymore. He would like to say a few words.
There are many things in life that I'm thankful for. One of it is just not being the first guy to go, so I'm not the first one to cry. But earlier, Pop-Up was talking about how my grandmother used to tutor me at Nicholas, and he really downplayed it big time. I didn't know how to read or write, and I still don't know how to write. My teachers hate my handwriting. But if it weren't for my grandmother, I wouldn't have made it through elementary school, and I wouldn't have made it through middle school or high school. My voice is cracking more than my cousin's. He's going through puberty. So, my grandmother had one of the most infectious smiles. I'd love to do small things for her, especially when I got a car and I could go and drive and see her freely. I'd do things like bring her flowers, or just come and see her, or take her out to lunch. And it was more selfish than anything, just because I loved to see her smile. But she taught me a lot of things. She taught me how to be myself, how to, work the system with school. And she taught me how to see the silver lining in everything. Because of all the people I know in the world, the one person who to me is the most like a saint. You sound like a girl. is my grandmother. And by A dictionary definition, a saint is someone who lives with exceptional holiness, sanctity, and virtue. And I'll bet that half of the people in this room right now have never once heard my grandmother utter any sort of obscenity. I don't think it was in her vocabulary. But it was always incredible how she always saw the silver lining in everything. And I think she wouldn't be too happy that I'm crying as much as I am. She'd rather see me smile. So I'm going to share one of my favorite stories about my grandmother with you. Her and Pop-Pop were on their way to a party, and they had to stop and pick up a 6-pack of beer. And so they stopped on the most convenient place on the way. It was called the Neshaminy. And there were 2 doors. There's the takeout door, and there's the patrons door. However, they didn't know which one was which. So they walked inside the wrong door, and since they were already there, they decided, let's just get our stuff and go. And of all things for a woman in my grandmother's situation to do, she could have cried, she could have crawled in the corner, she could have averted her eyes, she could have gone outside and waited in the car. But instead, she applauded the women for their exceptional athletic abilities. And I do not know anybody else who would do that. She was really one of a kind. And I'm grateful that I spent as much time with her as I did, because I think a lot of people, when they lose someone, they regret not spending enough time with them. I recently got my report card on Friday from school, and the first thing I always did, I got a report card, is I called my grandmother, let her know. Jeez, I had all week to cry, come on. But it's a shame now, because I always look forward to her praise. No matter what happened, no matter what your grade was, no matter anything, she always told you, she said, you're the best. She's so encouraging. She always told you to shoot for the stars, no matter how cloudy it was. She really was one of a kind. And, they say that in life, you die twice. You die when your soul leaves your body, and the second time is when the last person who knows you says your name for the last time. And I know that I'll always share the stories and the memories that I cherish with her. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I now want to introduce Dan Pollock, Beth's husband, to say a few words. Okay, Dan.
I'll make it quick and short. Beth wanted me to turn around and say the day that I went to Pennypack Elementary to ask her mom if I could marry her, but I'm not going to say that. Beth and I were just still dating, and Pat was so excited. She turned around and she goes to Beth, I got Dan a Christmas present. And she bought me a bottle of tequila. And, well, she knew what I like to drink. We never opened it up. And it sat in our kitchen for the longest of time. In the apartment I lived in, out back, we had a fireplace. And we were trying to keep warm. And for the life of us, we couldn't light it up. Well, we turned around, took that bottle of tequila, poured it on the fire, and it kept us warm. She knew exactly what she was doing. She kept us warm that night, and she will always keep me warm. And I hope everybody here remembers, keep yourself warm with her. She was a great lady, and I'll never forget that. She knew exactly what she was doing when she bought that. I have no doubt in my mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Are there any other grandchildren? Jake? Great.
Thank you. Growing up, it really has been tough for me, even taking care of 3 siblings and being the oldest. She was always there to support me, even in my darkest time. But there's one problem for me when I found out she died. This is really hard for me to say. I never really knew her well, but I knew in my heart that I loved her. As I remember from my younger times, she was really nice to me. My dad had told me she was always babysitting me. She had actually given me my first little twin toy. They were the twins named Bill and Ben. And also, there's one thing I'd like to say. People like her just don't come out of thin air. You meet them. And when Bart met her, I'm sure it was a true experience. So remember from an old song, every cloud has a silver lining, even when it rains. So don't get too downhearted. Things are bound to change. All you have to do is wear a smile, and you'll find your sun will shine. And she'll always live in our hearts as our son. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Okay. I now want to introduce my daughter, Deborah Prescott.
I was honored to be a part of Pat's service on January 26th in Delray Beach, Florida. And I was also honored to be with them after Christmas and spent a phenomenal couple of days together that I will cherish forever. But in reflecting on what Pat wanted me to say today and what she's been helping me process, she wants everyone to celebrate and she wants everyone to remember the joy that she's brought to all of our lives. So for that I will reflect back to what I now refer to in my own mind as the Sweet 16. Because 16 years ago, Pat and Bart met and changed all of our lives. She entered my world with comfort, style, and grace. She assisted the first grandchild on behalf of my family into kindergarten and assisted in carpooling in the summer when he was at kindergarten camp. And she was full of life, she was full of style, she was full of manners, and she had great clothes. She had amazing accessories, and she was forever put together and perfectly dressed for every occasion. And I just always admired how well she just, up to every minute of her time, kept and looked her best. We missed out on some time with them when they were first married because they were very busy. They had a new home to decorate, they had trips around the world to take, and we opened our arms and let them go enjoy. We enjoyed when they would come back and we would hear about Northern Europe, we would hear about Italy, we would hear about Ireland and England, we would hear about the Orient. And when Pat was diagnosed with COPD, all I said to myself is, thank God they lived such an amazing life while they had the opportunity, while they had the strength, while she had the ability. She's always dove right in and enjoyed all of my family, all of my extended family, and never hesitated to be willing to help. Our blended family was in the beginning. We fast forwarded and we started spending more time together. We started planning trips together. We were up in Steventown, New York, and now incorporating the Perlman, the extended Perlman family, the extended Prescott family, and it was something that we all enjoyed and cherished. Pat and Randy had a special relationship, and he enjoyed talking to her about books, about movies, and especially about bridge. Because my husband is a bridge player, and he was always envious that he could never get out and play, and he didn't live in a community that fostered that whole game he thoroughly enjoyed. And they used to talk about that. We always talked about dancing and loving to go to people's weddings because you had the opportunity to enjoy and dance and celebrate. But most of all, I think the moments I will remember and cherish is when we all would just sit and spend time together and have those quality moments. I am very grateful for my sweet 16. Thank you.
And now I want to invite my son, Greg, to come up.
Let's see if here I can get this thing the right way here. Thank you all for coming out today to honor Pat. When my dad asked me to write something, it's very challenging to come together to understand what I should write. And so this is what I actually wrote this and texted it back to myself, so I didn't forget. Patricia, Pat, Mom, wife, Grammy, aunt, daughter, teacher. Second here. Each person here has a different relationship with her. Our connections with Pat are at different levels. And one thing is common to all of us is that Pat has left a special gift to each one of us. And that gift was a legacy. A legacy of friendship. I know that when I met Pat and my dad introduced me, one of the things that struck me the most was how accepting she was of me. You know, it's a blended family. And she was very warm and accepting. She gave also the legacy of conversation. You know, one of the things that was nice, that Pat and I could enjoy conversations, and she gave great advice. And I just loved to hear the wisdom. And one of the things I'd always listen, and my dad and Pat would sort of go back and forth, complimenting each other about what to say and the advice to give. She gave us really the legacy of understanding, you know, and the legacy of listening when I needed to talk and share what was going on.
and she also gave us a legacy of teaching. But I think, you know, beyond all that, I think Pat really left us a legacy of love. And so what does that mean? A legacy of love. Well, one definition is love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud, it is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, nor rejoice, but it rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always preserves. Love never fails. And so when you think of Pat, and I thought a lot about this, she really is a person that embodies love. And as we think about Pat and that definition, I think it really falls into place, and how much she's impacted so many lives in just the representation of the people here and that go beyond these walls. We love you, Pat. And we are so thankful for the legacy that you have left. So no matter what your relationship with Pat, know that you are loved. Thank you.
I now want to invite any other family member who would like to say a few words. Okay, well then, yes, Lynn.
I don't really have anything written down or anything, but I just want to tell my Aunt Pat, thank you. It was almost 20 years ago that I lost my mother to her sister. And over the past 20 years, when I lost my mother, I had just had my firstborn. He was 8 weeks old. And over those years, the past 20 years, I have sent every Christmas, it was always my thing with family pictures, and I always sent her pictures of my kids, whether she wanted them or not. But it's like she filled the place of my mother. And I just want to say thank you, Aunt Pat. And when I got the message from Pat that she was gone, it was like losing my mother all over again. I love you, Aunt Pat, and just thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Are there any other family? Yeah, Max? This is my nephew, Max. He's the son of my brother. And his sister, Lori.
It's at times like these that I ask myself, will it matter that I was? When it comes to Pat, the answer is incredibly clear. And there are so many reasons for that. I'm going to talk quickly about three. Number one, she raised an incredible family. We have been so fortunate to get to know you. And particularly, we've gotten to know the Pullock family. And you are an example of what a family should be. The love that is shared among you is incredible, remarkable. We've really enjoyed getting to know you. We've made great memories with your family, and we look forward to a lot more. So will it matter that she was? Yes, it will. She made you. Second thing, as a teacher, she influenced thousands of people. There are people in this room. There are thousands of people outside of this room who were impacted by her teaching, who are more knowledgeable, more stable, more successful because of her. The highest calling, being a teacher, a profession that's very near and dear to our family. She did it. She mattered. And the third thing, which is personal to me, personal to our family, is when the patriarch of our family, Bart, needed a soulmate. She was there. She was his soulmate. And for that, Aunt Pat, I'm extraordinarily grateful. Thank you.
Max and Lori. Are there other family members that would like to say a few words? Okay?
No, Nicholas.
I'm sorry. Nicholas, yes.
I'll be completely honest. I have stage fright and I hate speaking in front of people. Not fun. And before, when Pop Pop said that Grammy tutored me and Danny, I really just love spending time with her with that, and I regret not spending more. In elementary school, none of my teachers thought I could really excel in math. And then when she went and tutored me with math, I went into middle school, and in 7th grade, I got a B+ in math. And I went and I told her, and she jumped in joy. It was awesome. She is a really amazing person. So I don't really know what else to say. So.
Thank you, Nick. I think you said it all. That's great. Okay. Is there anybody else in the family? All right. Are there other people here that might want to come up and say a few words about their memories of Pat? Yes.
I guess somebody has to be first. I mean, expect to be. I'll do it at the buffet table too as well, so.
If you could just introduce yourself.
I will, thanks. My name is Sarah Guckovan. I'll be 40 in a month. The reason why I mention that is, back in the day, I was Sarah Wolf. I don't know if there's any of my other teachers here. I didn't expect to cry, but you all got me going. Because you're the one that actually broke the straw. She was my 3rd grade teacher. I'm sorry, I just jumped on everybody's wagon, but she really did mean a lot to me. I'm a teacher today. I teach 1st grade. Okay, whew. I came today and I knew that I would say something if the opportunity came. Because amongst other people, and I know there's a couple teachers in here, so don't feel jealous, because they all had an impact on me, but Mrs. Zaloni was the one that made me become a teacher too. And I know that, and I've always known that. My mom saw that happen right up in the paper. And she sent my sisters and I a text and said, one of you had Mrs. Zaloni for a teacher. She has passed away, and I was very sad. And I said, that was me. And my sisters immediately said something too, so my family just knew that she had an impact on me. I can say that all my teachers from Hatboro Horsham, specifically Pennypack, are the reason why I teach today. This is a book that I made in 3rd grade in her class. It is in perfect condition. Oh my gosh. And I kept it. We had to pick a topic, and I picked clowns. And she said in the instructions, and I remember like it was yesterday, honestly, she said to the parents, just bring in wrapping paper just to cover it. It doesn't matter what it is, just any old thing. Well, I lied and told my mom that it had to be clowns. That's the topic of my book, and it's a complete and flat out lie. Dr. Zaloni did not say that. But my mom did and went and called all around until she found a Hallmark store that had clown wrapping paper, and here it is. Because it meant that much to me, but it meant that much to me because she put so much effort and so much enthusiasm into her teaching that it just jumped me on board. And the other thing that I remember about this is my mom mentioned that all the pages, it's not just stapled, they're hand sewn. Each and every binding of all of our books from everybody from that class, she sewed them at night with a needle and thread.
Oh my God.
And it's still together today. The cover's off, but all of the pages are perfectly intact. And it's one of the few things I have in a box, but this is my favorite, and I knew exactly where it was, and amongst 3 children that I have today, ran up there and all their stuff to find it because it meant a lot to me. Listening to what everybody had to say just reminded me of so many things that I could say about her. Teaching first grade, and I have my students publish. I didn't realize it until now, but I don't staple my kids' books when they publish. I don't hand sew them because I can't even put on a button, but I bind them. I find some way to make them permanent, and I realize now that's why. Because my mom happened to randomly say something and it stuck, and it shows the enthusiasm and the love that she had. I would run into her a few times over the year, and I always knew who she was, but she always knew who I was. And that amazes me because she obviously has touched so many people and so many students over so many years. And I was in 3rd grade in 1983, and she remembers me. And so I leave here hoping that there are children out there that feel the same way, because it shaped me and it molded me. And I hope that I have done the same thing that she has done for the student that I was. So thank you.
We typically would be out somewhere at a restaurant or movies or something, and Pat would look across and see someone and say, I think she was my student. And she was, or he was. And they always had a warm word and a great greeting. Dr. Zalomi, how you doing? So it was great. Is there anyone else who would like to come up and say a few words? Yes.
I'm Elizabeth, I'm Dan's sister, and I'm like Nicholas, I have stage fright. We have a tradition in our house, it's Christmas Eve. Since all of us were born, we always spent Christmas Eve with my mom. Every year, no matter what you're doing, we got married, Christmas Eve was my mom's, you could have any other holiday. Well, my mom passed away, so we continued the tradition by having it at each of our houses, we take turns. And the first year my mom passed away, I remember Pat and Bart came, and it wasn't my house. And when my mom passed away, we started a tradition with this ugly, hideous shoe. You know what I mean by that? So we do a Chinese Pollyanna. Whoever has a hideous shoe has to hold it for 1 year and can't lose it, and that's your Pollyanna the next year. And I remember our first Christmas Eve with Pat and Bart, they got the hideous shoe. And I remember your mom, Grace is like you said, looking, oh beautiful, it's hideous. She kept that shoe safe for a whole year and brought it to next Christmas Eve. I was very happy that we got to spend Christmas Eve with her this year. It was a very nice Christmas Eve. Hopefully both moms are together down here talking about all of us. But she was a very